No? Let's get ready then for the next session. We welcome on stage, maybe we can do a drum roll or something.
Drum roll, yeah.
The famous
The one and only
Henry Chesbrough, father of open innovation. Woo, woo, woo. Ready to rock?
Let's do it.
The stage is yours.
Yes. Can you all hear me? Yes. Wonderful. Do I have my slides behind me? Yes. No. I was wondering about that. So while we're waiting, how about a hand for the staff here at BAT? They have been working really hard all day to help us. Thank you. We are not easy to work with sometimes, we academics, so we really appreciate all the help, all the support. Thank you. Very good, and maybe, no, I still don't have my slides yet, but okay, so I am going to make some observations. I was asked not to present open innovation, I was asked to present what's new. And of course, the answer to what's new is sitting here in this room. It's not in the head of one person. So that's a little bit misleading. But I do want to share with you some trends that I'm seeing, and spoiler alert, many of them are not positive. And I want to share them with you so that we're all thinking about them and figuring out how do we work with them. And so you'll hopefully have a better understanding of what I mean when I say that. But then there's going to be some audience participation, because I'm going to offer some observations from what I heard today. So there's no prepared slide. It's just what I heard. You were with me hearing these same things. So I'm going to invite you to offer some observations that you have as well. So that's coming. So if something is sort of, I really liked this, that's the kind of thing we want you to share at the appropriate time. Okay. I guess I will not introduce myself further to you now. Let me just quickly remind us where we have been as a community. This all got started back in 2014 in Silverado and Napa Valley, California. And our poster for that first one was Where Theory Meets Practice Meets Wine. And the idea in Napa Valley was the wine was going to help the theory and the practice mix together a little better. Well, we haven't continued the wineries, but I think the mixture of theory and practice has continued. And so I think as a community, that's something I feel really good about. I would even say that over the last few years, especially post-pandemic, I personally feel like the industry side of our program is getting stronger and stronger. So for those of you working on the industry side of this conference this year, thank you. Your work is, I think, getting noticed, and it strengthens the work that we're all doing. So we've been, it hasn't quite been a World Open Innovation Conference, but it hasn't just been like Academy Management, where until this year, it was always in North America somewhere, even though they called themselves a global body. We have been fairly global. There are a number of new theories that are being worked on, many of which were presented today or will be presented tomorrow. And I think having new theoretical perspectives is, to me, not at all a criticism of the work that's been done. It suggests that we have attracted interest from other really good, really smart people. And they are coming up with new ways to look at things that we're looking at. And with these new lenses, we might actually see new interpretations, possibilities. So I think the worst outcome is for nobody to care about what you're doing. And nobody's suggesting any ways to look at it because nobody cares. We don't have that problem. We remain relevant, and I think it's outstanding. Who had the Oxford Handbook of Open Innovation? Yeah, so we put as a community, but Joel West is here with me today, along with Wim van Haverbeke and Agnieszka Rajavan. We tried to compile in one volume, admittedly a pretty thick volume, a place where you could see a lot of different angles on open innovation. Many of you already have it. I'm glad. Thank you. You must have good biceps from lifting the weight. But I think this is how we can remain engaged and connected, is to welcome these perspectives and then exchange with each other what we're seeing. I also want to point out some new practices that we're seeing in open innovation. I saw, for example, some venture client models. I even have gosh, Max, you gave me a book on this just now that you wrote. Max, where did you go? Yeah. Thank you, Max, from Brazil. As we have new theories, we're also seeing new practices. And to me, the interaction between theory and practice is one of the ways that we as a community remain engaged, remain vital, kind of keep refreshed. And rather than getting trapped in some blind alley or dead end, we're continually challenged as new things are developing. And for those of you working on new practices, in many ways, you are the ones running the experiments that we social scientists get to study. So first, thank you for letting us study you. And we really want to learn from you and with you. One that I have had a small role in that I want to share with you is this last one at UC Berkeley. This idea of research as a service. I'm going to give the negative part of this in a few minutes, but on the positive side, UC Berkeley just got 2 Nobel Prizes a couple weeks ago in chemistry and physics, again. And this means there are new parking spots on campus for those of you who've been to the Berkeley campus for these new Nobel laureates. We have a lot of really excellent state-of-the-art technical equipment across the many laboratories at the University of California, Berkeley. Up until this program I'm going to tell you about, that laboratory equipment was under lock and key, and if you didn't work in that department with those PIs, you had no access to any of that equipment. And we're talking equipment that's tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. And so most companies never would even think about buying this equipment, and even the ones that could afford it probably shouldn't buy it, because you're not going to use it all that often. Research as a service is a new initiative at UC Berkeley where you can get access to that equipment as a service. So you don't have to buy it. You can actually rent access to it. And what this does for UC Berkeley is a couple of things. One is it provides a way to deepen engagement with companies doing real work, real experiments with state-of-the-art technical issues. So that in itself is a good thing, especially if you're a public university. A second really good thing about it is the PIs and the academic researchers get to see what industry is doing with the same equipment. What problems are they working on? A third thing that happens is when the industry people do these experiments, oftentimes they need help in interpreting the results. Okay, I got this result. Is that high? Is that low? Is that good? Is that bad? What does this result mean in your experience? Because for the companies, it's the first time they may have used this equipment to do this experiment. But the researchers maybe have done dozens of these, maybe even hundreds of these. And so now you have a nice intellectual discussion that you would never have had if this equipment wasn't opened up for others. And lastly, by boosting the utilization of the equipment, and the university is charging the companies for this access, you get new sources of revenue coming in, and with higher utilization, it's possible to justify buying even more advanced equipment for the next generation. And so the research can advance further, faster, because not only is the equipment state-of-the-art today, these create new incentives to keep it state-of-the-art going forward. So research as a service. And that's just one of the new practices going on. As you might expect, we have a lot of challenges. Our wonderful keynote this morning, and Kristen, where are you? Fantastic keynote, wicked problems. This is an area where there's a lot of work to be done. The net zero energy strategies, just one example of that. Circular business models, there's a lot we can do there. Another one that I haven't heard much about today, but I think we're going to hear about it. We have an ongoing experiment where literally hundreds of billions of dollars of capital are being raised to develop and train new large language models and artificial intelligence. And because that amount is so high, and it comes from the chips, comes from the compute, comes from the algorithms, don't forget the training data that's going to do all this, the adoption of these technologies and the return on investment for those that are making the investment to adopt these technologies is falling way short of what it has to be to justify this huge capital investment. That's a problem. Because at some point, if the capital being invested is not generating a return and doesn't look like it's going to generate that much of a return anytime soon, the capital markets will shift. And sometimes they can shift rapidly. Some of us are old enough to remember the dot-com boom and the dot-com bust. Do you remember how quickly the dot-com bust happened? It was fast. So, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm only saying that we're not keeping pace with adoption of AI relative to the investments we're making in production. Another point, for those of us who remember the personal computer and what we used to call the productivity paradox, is, gee, we see all this investment in PCs, but we don't see the financial benefit in the companies putting all these PCs in their businesses. And many scholars in the 90s looked at this, and one man, Eric Brynildsen, with colleagues, kind of did some of the nicest work, in my view, of trying to unravel this paradox. And what they found, I think, might be relevant for this adoption issue we have with AI today. They found that if you just went out and bought PCs and put them in your offices, there wasn't much payback for getting personal computers. The payback came if and only if you developed new business processes that were enabled by having the PCs in your office. To give you a trivial example, if you printed something off on your PC, on your printer, and then you put it in the fax machine to send the fax to your office over there, you're not going to see a lot of benefit from getting the personal PCs. You could have done that document on a typewriter and then sent the fax. You didn't need the benefit from the PC. On the other hand, if you incorporate this really interesting thing called email, and you got rid of the fax machine altogether, and you've got new business processes that cut out the fax entirely, well, now things get a little more interesting. So as we think about AI adoption, I think we're going to have to think about what kinds of business processes can we change or innovate or eliminate because we have these capabilities. And I think that will be the way forward. I also think there's a real chance that Grok AI, Google DeepMind, OpenAI are wrong. Wrong in the sense that they're all three betting there's going to be one huge supermodel to rule them all. And that's why they're investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They're racing to be that model that will win the race for everyone. Another possible outcome is dozens, even hundreds or thousands of much smaller scale AI large language models focused on particular uses and needs, trained on much more specific data sets for those particular situations. They don't require massive compute every time you rerun the analysis. Many of them could be even run on edge devices that we hold in the palm of our hand. But moving that to the edge where you need it and you're collecting the data or interacting with customers or patients or other people, that could actually be the most valuable way to adopt AI of all. So I'm not, again, making any predictions. I'm only saying that we as innovation scholars, we need to be watching this, we need to be paying attention. Something else I think we need to watch, and this is where some of the bad news comes in, is that I'm seeing, again, from predominantly a US perspective, but as some of you know, I do spend some time in Europe as well. I am seeing important geopolitical shifts in the production of knowledge. And so as recently as the, we could even say the first Trump administration, most of the US was still in the lead on knowledge production across various measures of research output. But as an article in Nature documented in 2023, with a source not from the US government, from a Japanese government analysis, and imagine Japan sitting between the US and China, you can imagine that as a technologically advanced society, they're paying attention to this. And what they're reporting is that for the first time in the top journals in engineering and science, the top articles in those top journals, more of them are now coming from China, people working in China, than in the US. Now, this is still global knowledge production. This is all published work. Maybe the cure for my cancer is going to come from a researcher working in Shanghai. That would be, from my perspective, no bad thing. I would not be unhappy about that at all. But from a geopolitical context, we should be aware that the US lead or even hegemony in scientific research is gone. This is not going to change, or it's not going to reverse, for reasons I'll say in just a moment. This is the new normal. We are in a more geopolitically contested world. Now, if the contest is who can make the best cure for cancer, let's have that competition. But that's not the only area where it's going to compete. More recently than the Nature article, we have decided in the US to run the experiment that maybe these universities don't need all this money to do research. Maybe we can get them to be more lean, more efficient. Some of you were telling me at the break, you know people who've been working in some of these study areas and their grant literally disappeared. And so the work has to stop because there literally is no funding to pay anybody. This is, I showed you on the last slide, if I can get back to it, the trend. These are data, prior to 2023. If you now add these phenomena and you look what's going to happen going forward, that contest, that geopolitical gap is going to accelerate. And we're going to see more and more of a geopolitical shift away from the US. So the research funding is a problem. There's also another problem. Some of you couldn't get to Berkeley last year because you couldn't get a visa, which is really sad. So if you come and you do excellent work as a master's or PhD student, maybe you're going to get kicked out. This is, again, not good for science and research. It turns out that as a society, America, people born in the United States, we don't have enough people born who want to do master's and doctoral level research. We don't have enough of them to do research at the level we've been operating. So if we don't fix that, there's going to be a permanent reduction in the amount of research that's going to be done. And since we're at the World Open Innovation Conference, I've taken a US view. I think a more balanced way to say this is there's going to be a shift away from the United States to regions like Europe, for sure China, maybe India, maybe Brazil, Max. It's going to be a more distributed research landscape. And the loss of leadership in the US, there's still going to be knowledge produced all around the world, but more and more of it's going to be produced outside the US. And so we as a scholarly community, we need to be paying attention to that. And if you're not working with Chinese data sets yet, maybe you start building connections and relationships because they still have excellent research funding. They've got good data. There's some very good scholars working in China. Maybe we need to become more global in our own research agendas. How this will affect us with open innovation, I don't know, but my reason for sharing it with you is because enough has happened that I'm confident in saying this is not going to turn around. This is going to continue for quite some time. And it's going to affect the things that we study. All right, so now I'm going to make a few observations that I saw from today, but this is where the audience participation comes in, because I'm going to invite you to offer a few observations as well. I saw some great stuff. Our wonderful keynote got us started on this about ecosystems and the importance of multi-stakeholder environments where it isn't any one company can't do it. It's got to be multiple companies. And by the way, the incentives of those companies aren't always the same. There can be conflicts in the values and the goals of the people in this ecosystem. So it isn't just rainbows and unicorns. There's some really hard bargaining, hard negotiating, conflict resolution that has to be done to get through that. So that's one thing I saw today. A second thing I saw today is some really good industry participations and contributions to our community, and you already know I really welcome that, and I hope we continue that. A third thing that I saw was we had a session on getting funding for research. And so, as a community, we want to do more of this, and we know it's going to take money, so we're starting to dig into, all right, how do we get that money? And I see that as a positive thing. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that the feeling of our meeting continues to be a pretty warm and inviting feeling. For those of you who've been to other academic conferences, that's not always the case. So the fact that we've got a pretty good vibe here is, I think, a great achievement. My thanks to the organizers of this year's conference, Marcel, Marisol, the whole team. You guys put together, I think, a great event. Thank you. All right, so those are some of my observations. Anything that comes to your mind that you think, yeah, I'd like to tell the World Open Innovation community about my experience today? Any volunteers? Or do I have to read your eyes and look for that sense of terror in your... Oh, and thank you for getting the microphone, too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, Stefano from industry. So I'm neutral. I don't tell the name of the company, so no. I come from industry, so I did not experience so much academic, let's say, events. But I like this one a lot. So I have colleagues from academic sites. They describe it not like
And
this.
would you come again?
Of course.
Okay, well.
Of course. I didn't have any chance to answer anything else. Okay. I'm kidding. I'm coming back. Anyway, what I wanted to say is I liked a lot the interactive session, which took place from 4 to 6 into room 4, because I feel a waste that we have so many brains here, and they don't give the opportunity maybe to interact. So it is good to receive information, to think about critical. Maybe it is also good to have, let's say, a moment where we can really create something new, even simple. That's really nice, to create relationship. I don't know if this is common in research and academic events. It's common in the industry, and I'm very happy to see something like that. So that helped me also to appreciate the rest.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, thanks.
Okay, so if someone who's here for the first time has the courage to get up and say something, who among us here is too scared to offer their observations? Almag, yeah. I have never thought of you as scared.
Karaoke tonight. So this is an observation that also from yesterday, from the doctoral consortium that we had. For those of you who know Henry from the books and not the person himself, I think it's just incredible as a person that you have an incredible impact on humanity, and yet you're so humble, and you're coming and you're learning about the different people and their backgrounds and their names. And even yesterday, there was a session about the process of publishing a paper.
Right.
And Henry sat with us, and he listened, and I was like, he published billion of papers, and he sits, and he listens like all the other students. And it just shows how humble you are, and just incredible person.
I'm trying to publish more papers.
So, just thank you for the person you are. You deserve this. So yeah, that's an observation.
Okay, well that was a plant in the audience, but thank you so much. Okay, let's take one more, and then let's get to the awards. Yeah. Okay. Sigvald. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Henry, so much. I would just like to say what I enjoy the most is the diversity. Because we all come here for open innovation. We all practice open innovation in different ways. But truly, the emphasis is on different. So we do so in very different ways. And I enjoyed presentations today about how different companies solve innovation challenges. And they do so in totally different ways. So I've enjoyed very much listening, not forwarding an opinion on how to solve innovation challenges, which I may think I know how to do, but I just enjoy the experience of listening that and learning that there are so many other ways of doing the same. So that, especially coming from Copenhagen Innovation Roundtable that runs in parallel, and I was there yesterday, the main critique was lack of diversity. Mm-hmm. So, same presentations 10 times on the main stage, different titles, but really the same theme. Yeah. And I believe here we have the opposite in a very positive way. Thank you.
Where's UEFA? Yeah, I would just say, in response to what Sigvald was saying, one of the diverse examples we had today was not from a company, but from a group that works for the European football clubs, an organization called UEFA, that has created a wonderful ecosystem innovation model that really engages stakeholders in a win, 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 win. There were 4 of them, right? And that different value propositions to each of the 4 and interconnections between the host city, the corporate sponsors, the startup organizations, and compelling value propositions to each of them. So it was a very rich, detailed, and to my mind, something many companies can learn from as well. So that was a great example of exactly what you're talking about. I never would have thought that European football would offer a great ecosystem innovation example, but they did. So thank you. All right, so let's get Marisol and Marcel back on stage. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Henry. Thank you.